I don't know how to say this and be politically correct, but what the heck is wrong with Ukraine? What is so special about Ukraine that it's worth bankrupting Canada over? I don't have the answer. I don't understand. Do they have gold that we're trying to pan? Do they have like minerals that Canada desperately needs? Is there like a love affair between Zelensky and Trudeau? Like, I don't freaking get it, man. It drives me nuts. Look, Ukrainian people, I have total empathy. Anyone who's in a war-torn country, you have my empathy. I think it's sad. I think that there's a humanitarian response. I think that there's a peacekeeping response. But dude, bankrupting this country that's affecting your quality of life, my quality of life, my children's quality of life, your children's quality of life, this shit is bananas, man. That's what we're taking a look at this entire video. This entire video, sorry, I'm a little too excited. This entire video is about Ukraine and Canada's, Justin Trudeau's pledge. By the way, this should be criminal. I don't know how to emphasize this. What kind of rules are there? Can I pull out, like, can I raise my hand and say, hey, hello, can we put this son of a gun in jail? Because he's like 30 days away from no longer being prime minister, and he is just giving our money away, man. Like, it gives me freaking goosebumps. Zoom in if you want. I got goosebumps because this shit doesn't sit well with me. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. And there is a little bell notification. If you can just do me a favor and click and tap that, that would be absolutely phenomenal, because this country's going broke and YouTube is the last hope we have of doing absolutely anything. I don't understand this, okay? Canada has already given away billions of dollars. Who knows how much money? There's probably a statistic online. 10 billion, 50 billion, 150. Who the frick knows? But it's too much money and it's not justified. Justin Trudeau today has pledged $5 billion. Meanwhile, the EU with 27 countries together, the EU, 27-ish countries together, okay? 3.5 billion. So Canada, uno country, 5 billion. 27 countries together, 3.5 billion. I failed math probably in high school, but that really, if I carry the 1 times divide, that doesn't make any sense. So let's take a look at what the heck is going on. Okay, here we go. Here's a photo of Justin Trudeau and Zelensky posing because, well, this guy right here is getting his country $5 billion more. What's it broken down into? So Justin Trudeau posted on X earlier this morning. In Kiev this afternoon, I laid out Canada's pledge to help Ukraine secure lasting peace and defend its sovereignty. How is this legal? But you're 30 days away-ish, give or take, whatever, from being no longer the prime minister. How do you have authority to do this? This is nuts. 25 more LAV 3 infantry fighting vehicles. How many does Canada have? What's going on? Even if we're not giving it away, even if they're loans, how many do we have? I feel like we've given them more than what we actually have here in our stock, right? 2 Canadian-made armored combat support vehicles, which Ukrainian forces will be trained on in Germany. 4 F-16 flight simulators. Now, put a pin in that one because that's a freaking weird one, okay? The first installment of Canada's loan to Ukraine that will draw from frozen Russian assets. Okay. New energy security support in the wake of consistent reckless attacks by Russia on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Millions of additional rounds of ammunition, protective equipment, and first aid kits. I feel like we might need them bullets, though. Russia's actions are a direct attack against the rules-based international order. The response from democracies must be clear. Peace through strength. Meanwhile, this doesn't make any sense because Trump is trying to figure out a peace treaty right now. So why are we committing not 5 million, not 50 million, not 500 million, freaking 5 billion, 1,000 millions times 5. So remember I said, hold on to the F-16 flight simulators. All right, so this gentleman right here, Marty up north on X said Trudeau's 4 F-16 flight simulators on Amazon are $10,000 in total. but $2,000 a piece, right? Or 2,500 ish. Okay. He's charging taxpayers $250 million. Now, is there a difference between this Amazon F-16 flight simulator and a military grade F-16 flight simulator? Probably. But is it a difference of $10,000 to $250 million? No, that's insane, man. That's like saying I have a fleet of Honda Civics and I'm going to sell them to you for $10 million each. They're very valuable. They're not, but they are. That's how government contracting works. It stinks. It's disgusting. So on top of all of the money and ammo and all of these nice shiny toys, we're also sending troops. But here's the kicker. Canadian Armed Forces is now accepting. I should probably edit out this laughter, but I can't. I can't help myself. The Canadian military is now accepting recruits suffering from any and all conditions, including those with anxiety and asthma. With all medical conditions, there's a spectrum. Oh my gosh, so we're sending people into the military who have pre-existing health conditions that literally contradicts the entire like baseline for the health standard in the military before this new announcement. Like, I don't understand what is going on with Canada's spending and our military, but it doesn't make any sense at all. So now let's get into what the politicians actually said instead of just in blatant text form. Starting off with Justin Trudeau's alleged mistress, Melanie Joly. What did she have to say this morning as she role plays?
Putin cannot just leave, rearm, and reinvade. This would be bad for Ukraine. This would be bad for all of us. And so we need to make sure that there is future security for Ukrainians. It will have to be part of any peace deal. And so meanwhile, for us, it's military aid, it's financial aid, it is different parts of support for Ukraine. And different countries are providing support. And it is also linked to a 5-year period, and we know exactly when installments will be sent. So that's also helping the Treasury back in Ukraine to make sure that ultimately they have enough support militarily, but also money to pay their soldiers, pay their services, support their population.
Okay, so the money that we're sending them is to pay their own armed forces members. I just feel like this is wrong. You know, if you want to provide humanitarian help, if you want to be a peacekeeping country, we send troops to train people. We don't send them millions of rounds of ammunition. We don't send them these $5 billion lump sum payments and they can... Dude, $5 billion. I feel like that could solve homelessness in its entirety here in Canada multiple times over. That's a lot of money. That's a freaking lot of money. That's the amount of money to startup fund the freaking high-speed rail that these liberals want to do between Toronto and Montreal or Toronto and Quebec or wherever the hell in Quebec. This is crazy, man. So here's the part where it gets even crazier. The announcement of European Union. The EU, 27 countries just pledged 3.5 billion smackaroos. Meanwhile, Canada is doing 5. What the heck is going on?
I can announce that a new 3.5 billion euro payment for Ukraine will arrive already in March. Second, as President Costa just has announced, there will be a special European Council, and I will present at this special European Council a comprehensive plan for defense investment, for scaling up our European arms production and defense capabilities, but also for investment in Ukraine's defense industry, scaling up your arms production, your defense capabilities. So this will be a plan for the European Union and for Ukraine. And then there's a third point I want to speak about.
This makes me sick to my stomach. This makes me sick to my stomach that the entire world is spending so much freaking money on Ukraine. And it's not in a peacekeeping way. It's literally by definition, funding the freaking war.
That is energy. For 3 years, Russia has sought to plunge Ukraine into darkness by relentlessly targeting the energy infrastructure. Therefore, the Commission has prepared an ambitious package on energy security. The aim is to ensure a resilient, a secure, competitive energy system for Ukraine. Together, we have managed during this winter already to provide 1.8 gigawatt. But now we will fully integrate Ukraine's and Moldova's electricity market in our own electricity market by the end of next year. And we will seize the full potential of Ukraine's vast gas storages, of which 80% are located closer to the EU member states.
Yeah, like providing them with Starlink, providing Ukraine with energy, right? Like those are essential resources, right? And so that makes sense. But providing them with overpriced, like super highly inflated price for F-16 flight simulators, all this stuff, it's just freaking crazy. And I don't like how we are literally funding the war. It's like going to those claw machines, you know, like in Toy Story, the claw, right? You go to a bowling alley, you go to an arcade or whatever, they always got the claw machines. You put a couple bucks in, you put a couple coins in, all of a sudden now you got a little joystick, right? So you're moving your joystick over to maybe a stuffy or like a phone, right? A new iPhone in a box. You push a button, the clock comes down, tries to grab it. Maybe you got it, maybe you don't. It moves it over to the funnel, right? The escape hatch, and all of a sudden you want a toy. Well, now it's this analogy that I'm coming up with off the top of my head is denying that you had anything to do with grabbing that. All you were doing was putting money in, you funded it, and you controlled it with the joystick, and you brought it to the escape hatch, but it wasn't you who did it. It was the claw. You didn't physically touch it, so it's okay. That's what seems to be happening with this war. All these countries are gathering together, giving all this money, all this ammunition, all these resources to fight the war and saying, okay, I know it's not us at war, but I think you should move your troops here, there, and there, and there, and attack and now defend and now attack and now defend. But hey, whoa, we're not at war. That's crazy. Don't accuse us of that. That's Ukraine that's at war, not us. Seems to be the best analogy I can come up with right now on the spot. It stinks. It absolutely stinks. But so you've heard European Union talk about how much money. We've seen how much money through text and through Justin Trudeau's X post. But now let's actually hear him talk at this summit and see what he has to say. Because, man, this guy, I mean, he's just on his way out. Why is he even here? Like, it shouldn't be allowed. It should not be allowed.
Bonjour, mes chers amis. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to my fellow leaders for your timely and salient remarks. And above all, thank you, Volodymyr, for hosting today's summit and for your courageous leadership as the duly elected democratic leader of this great nation. Since the start of Russia's full-scale illegal war of aggression,
he threw in that democratic elected leader because Trump has been calling him a dictator lately. Trump has been calling Zelensky a dictator because last year Ukraine was supposed to have an election, but Zelensky basically just canceled it or postponed it indefinitely because they're at war, which obviously is something that Canada can also do if we are technically at war.
3 years ago, you've shown remarkable personal bravery, resilience, and resolve, a defiant spirit mirrored by the unbreakable Ukrainian people. You continue to inspire me and tens of millions of my fellow citizens back home in Canada. But let us be frank, you and the Ukrainian people
I feel like he's
should never have had to endure even a single day of this unjustified, brutal war, let alone 1,096 of them, or more accurately, over 4,000 of them since Russia illegally seized Crimea back in 2014. This is not a conflict Ukraine wanted, provoked, or asked for in any way. This is a war started for one reason and one reason only: Russia's desire to erase Ukrainian history and expand their empire. Russia's actions are nothing short of a direct attack against the rules-based international order, an order established in response to the most destructive war in our collective history, a war etched in the memory of the citizens of all of our respective nations for the past 80 years. An order which, albeit imperfect, ushered in the most peaceful and prosperous era in the history of humanity. We cannot go back. We cannot return to an era where might makes right. We must do everything in our power to enable Ukraine to secure a just and lasting peace, a peace that cannot be achieved without Ukrainians at the table. That is precisely what Canada is focused on. Canada has been a steadfast, unshakable partner to Ukraine since the beginning, and that will never, ever change. But I know, we all know, there is more work to do. That is why I am announcing Canada will be providing 25 more LAV-3 infantry fighting vehicles to Ukraine. We will be delivering 2 armored combat support vehicles, which Ukrainian forces will be trained on shortly in Germany. Landing systems for F-16s were delivered just 2 months ago, and 4 F-16 flight simulators will be provided in the coming months. And that's on top of the millions of additional rounds of ammunition, components for drone cameras, and first aid kits. We're also dispersing the first installment of the $5 billion in assistance to Ukraine funded through revenues from frozen Russian assets, along with providing a grant to help Ukraine maintain its energy security in the wake of consistent, reckless attacks by Russia on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Throughout all this, we need to keep in mind the size of the human cost of the Russian aggression for the past 3 years. Ukrainians who've lost their lives fighting courageously for their land, children taken from their families and homes and communities, which is a disgusting war crime, and violence subjected to prisoners of war taken by Russia.
Whoopsie.
Implementing the Montreal Pledge to address the human costs of the war, a declaration made at the conference we co-hosted there last autumn with Norway and Ukraine, is more urgent than ever. We will continue to work with Ukrainian forces through Operation Unifier, which has already trained tens of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers. And once a just peace is secured, Canada stands at the ready to work with our partners around the world to provide Ukraine the security it needs for the peace to last, allowing it to recover, rebuild, and prosper. Regardless of the great distance separating our two countries, Canada knows this is a war that we cannot afford to ignore. I know the stakes. Canadians know the stakes. All of you around this table know the stakes. And most of all, Ukrainians know the stakes. This is a war of aggression on Ukraine's people, culture, identity, and very existence. But it's also a war on our way of life. It's a war on democracy, on the rule of law, on self-determination, a war on justice, and a war on truth. At this critical moment.
But it is not our war. Peacekeeping missions, training soldiers from other countries, providing humanitarian aid, sure, but actually funding the war? No, I don't agree with that. If they're a part of NATO and we have, fiduciary obligations or whatever, that's a different story. But we are not under contract or held by law to be giving Ukraine or loaning Ukraine or whatever word you want to use, right? Donating to Ukraine all of this equipment, ammunition, and yada, yada, yada. It's getting out of hand. Like I said, this funding, this round of funding, this seed funding, right? Whatever you want to call it, is $5 billion that we're just handing to Ukraine. Even if it is a loan and we're getting interest back in the future, I don't care. That's not what I think we should be doing with the money. We could solve homelessness here in Canada. $5 billion is a lot of money. That's a tremendous amount of money to combat the issues here in Canada. That's my opinion. Let me know down in the comments if you guys agree with that or not. Maybe I'm just out to lunch. Maybe we're not spending enough on Ukraine. I don't know. Maybe I'm freaking missing the whole purpose of this. But to me, I feel like we should be spending that money here in this country and not this much on Ukraine. I'll go down that path until proven otherwise, but I stand pretty firm on that.
Moment, I think of the words of the great Ukrainian poet, Taras Shevchenko, whose works have been echoed by millions of Ukrainians as a source of inspiration. You must fight on, you will triumph. God is helping, leading. At your back are justice, glory, and sacred freedom. That excerpt was proudly recited in Independence Square by Serhiy Nihoyan, the first.
Like, what the hell is Trudeau going on about? Imagine Canada's in a pinch. Imagine we've got China or Russia knocking on our door, and all of a sudden you've got Poland helping us out. You got Ukraine maybe helping us out. You got other countries helping us out. And they're all sitting around a round table going, we need to help Canada. We need to help Canada. To quote the famous Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Like, who cares, man? Just announce what you're doing and move on. Why are you quoting a freaking Ukrainian poet? Maybe I'm out to lunch again. Maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe this all makes sense to these people, but it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like this one bit. That's my opinion, folks. Again, I would absolutely love to know yours about any of the topics that were covered. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe not necessarily the content within or this announcement, but I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, it'd be awesome for you to show your appreciation by liking this video, subscribing to this channel, turning post notifications on, and I will see you all in another video. Bye for now.